Okay.
Sarah, thank you very much for joining us. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm so thankful for what you guys have been doing for our sport and promoting all these amazing people involved in ski racing and skiing. It's really cool what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. And pleasure to welcome you to the show as well.
Thank you.
I'm gonna start by taking you back to the very beginning. And how did you get into the sport as a child in Colorado?
So I grew up here in Vail, Colorado. My dad has a ski shop, and my dad was a bit of a ski bum. And I got skis for my second birthday, and I was hiking up in my backyard. Loved it from the get-go. I always wanted to be an Olympian, but I wanted to be a gymnast when I was about 11 or 10. And really that wasn't feasible from Vail or actually for my skills at all. And I started going to ski camps with Eric Seiler when I was 11. And at the time I was kind of overlapping still with gymnastics and ski racing. And I fell in love with ski camps. That's what really triggered me to love the sport, and because I got to be alone and free and be myself out on the road. I traveled to Europe by myself at 11 years old. They lost my luggage. I had to catch a train and meet up with my group. So luckily they had lost one of my bags, so I just had my ski bag, and I was dragging my ski bag at 11 years old through the train stations. I think people thought I was a little bit crazy, but that kind of gave me that sense for adventure, and now I guide my own ski camps. So really being in the camp environment where I could I found my identity. I wasn't just stifled at home by the rules of the house, and I could kind of be my wild self, because I've always been a bit wild. And that was amazing. And I grew up with the best coaches, and I was really fortunate in that, because I had Eric Seiler, who was the best American coach at the time. Sorry about that. It doesn't even let me save now. I grew up with Eric Seiler, and his daughter was a year older than me, and she was really, really good at ski racing. She was in level 1. They had levels in our camps, and she was group 1 up on the steep face, and I would watch her and I'd be like, I could never do that. But I started traveling with Eric and his daughter Martina from 11 on. Basically, I still work with them to this day, and so I have to give them a lot of the credit for my career.
It's a fantastic story. So moving to your more senior career, and your time with the USA and skiing for the USA, there were some special moments during that first part of your career, and even before then, was it after you've realized that the gymnastics maybe was less possible? Was it, I'm going to ski in the Olympics? Was that the dream, and was the World Cup the focus?
Yeah, and then I just started taking off. Like once I hit 13 or 14, I was winning Junior Olympics, and then the US ski team had eyes on me already. I foreran a World Cup before I even turned FIS. I remember because as I was preparing for the interview, I had the first time I met Mikaela was at a NORAM in Loveland, and I was winning the race, and she was 5 seconds out, which I had never heard of her or met her before, and she was really bummed. She's like, I'm 5 seconds out. And so it reminded me of the time that I foreran for Brenny Schneider when she won the World Cup in Vail at Golden Peak, and I was 5 seconds out. I don't think I was that bummed though, but she was, she was on a different trajectory than I was, I think. But so yeah, the ski team, I raced World Cup in my first year FIS, I think first or second year here in Beaver Creek. I qualified, so I was already pretty top gun right away. I was winning on the podium at US Nationals really young, and so that just, my career just took off. My dad put me in the camp at the first year I went he didn't want me to go with the ski team. He wanted me to stay home one more year. He wanted me to be close to home. And he said I could go to some of the training camps, but I had to be with the A team. So my first camp, I got to be with Peekaboo Street. I got to be with all the stars, Hillary. And then all the older girls kind of took me in under their wing. And that was my first experience with the US ski team. And then it took a while to kind of get established on the World Cup. I think it took a few years before I was like consistently in the points. But then I became a top contender and I was consistently in the top 10. I got frustrated because I could never win the race. I was having back troubles and things like that, and I was like, oh, I know I can win. And my doctor at the time from Munich, Germany, Dr. Wolfhart, he's a doctor for the Bayern München. I'm saying his name wrong, but I had him for a long time. He was helping me with my back, and he had a book in his office called Winning, and I took it with me on a vacation, and I studied the video of Marlee Schild and me side by side, and I was like, I can win. And the next race I won, and that was my only win, and then I got injured again.
I'm gonna ask about that win in March 2005 in Lenzerheide, I believe. Was that sort of, you know, almost the dream and what you've been aiming for since you were very young, you know, skiing in the local mountains? And did that feel like a bit of a relief when you could say you were a World Cup winner?
Yes, so part of me wants to go back and try it all over again and see if I could win more and be more focused and less into the parties and all that stuff. But I am happy that I was able to pull off one win, and I have several podiums. I think my ultimate goal when I was younger, because I know, like, for Lindsey, because I gotta grow up racing and training with Lindsey and Julia and some of the more successful racers on our team, and they always had really big goals young. They had, like, Julia had a poster of herself that she drew with herself wearing like 6 Olympic medals or 8 Olympic medals, and Lindsey, when she'd write her goals, she'd be like, I'm gonna win this, and we were always like, whoa, are those her goals? And you know, they accomplished them. So I always tell my kids, because I'm a coach now, you got to shoot big. You got to know where you're going. You can't just want to go to the US ski team or want to go to the Olympics. You got to try to maybe want to win the Olympics. Maybe it's not for everyone, but if you have those passions at a young age, I think it really helps you to develop into those goals and accomplish those goals. And I think for me personally, my goal was just to go to the Olympics, and here I am still going to the Olympics. So
do you think your time spent with Lindsey sort of formed the way you look at it now, how you want to look forward all the time and have objects, I should say? Yeah,
it's interesting because I grew up with these stars and I was a bit older, and you know, you don't know they're going to be the greatest of all time when they're starting out. Excuse me. And so if you had hindsight and you could be like, oh, and just soak up a little bit more of what they were all about. You know, sometimes I would just discredit Lindsey when we were training, and I would give her a hard time and be like, don't lean in training today, Lindsey. And then she'd lean in and she'd get so mad at me. But I think also that helped her develop, you know, strength, mental toughness for race day. And then I remember being with Lindsey or Mikaela, you know, in her first training camps, and I was like, this girl is more mature at her first training camp than I am at some of my last training camps. And I really admired how she was so focused, and she'd wake up and watch Marcel Hirscher while she ate her breakfast. And we were like, you know, in a way we were probably kind of jealous, but we also took it in, and I tried to learn from those girls as well as being their mentor in certain ways.
I was just going to say, do you feel that whilst the people that were around you helped you to learn and grow, do you feel that you also helped them to learn and grow?
Yes, definitely. I passed on as much as I could. and I was very openly competitive. So I was never like afraid to be like, let's have a competition. Let's go for a run and who's the fastest, who can do the most pull-ups. Let's race in timing and training today. Whereas a lot of girls will be a little bit more shy about those kinds of things and keep it inside, even though maybe that deep down they are still that competitive. But I think that helped a lot of girls to push themselves. And I remember Mikaela, when she beat me at US Nationals the first time in Winter Park, she came up to me. She's like, I finally figured out how to beat you. And I was like, uh-oh, I think we're getting to the end here. So my last race as an American with Lasse, when I carried him down, was Mikaela's first podium, which was kind of a cool change over time.
Yeah, passing on the baton almost.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Are you still very competitive in your mind? Yeah.
I've mellowed out quite a bit, honestly. I still like to be fast when I'm ski racing, but when I'm going for a run or something, I let the kids beat me because they're just stronger than me now.
I was just gonna say, you touched on that final World Cup experience that you had when Mikaela got her first podium, and we wanted to ask about the way you went out in the summer outfit. You went to pick up your son and skied down with him. So do you feel that run was sort of trying to like almost a representation of yourself and how you go about your skiing and your life?
I think so. I'm one of my teammates, Megan McJames, said I'm not very easygoing. So I don't know if I'm easygoing. I always think I am easygoing, but maybe I'm a bit I'm very intense. But I'm wild and I'm free, and I like to live with my heart really open, and so that connects to my mind. The way the last race, which is probably one of my most memorable races, because it was just so, so much emotion to end a career, and the girls really wanted me to go down naked. And I used to love doing like topless shots. I drive my car topless. I was like very into being naked, and so they're like, you have to go naked. And I was like, I don't think that's gonna fly. So then we found that dress. Racy Stiegler had the dress, and it worked out great. And then the last minute we were like, oh, you should carry Lasse down. So my coach brought Lasse midway down, and it all kind of formulated on that morning. And FIS was so kind to let us, celebrate in those amazing ways. I remember Wendy Holdner was behind me from the start, and she was, I don't know if I kind of messed up her race because it was such a long production, but it's been really cool to watch her career flourish after that, and she made it all the way to the top, so that's been really cool to see.
Yeah.
I did also want to ask, were you cold?
I don't think so. I think I was just riding on full adrenaline. I love ice baths, and I've been doing them a lot. A lot of people say I did them before they were, a trend. I would go into the river, or we'd do the sauna and then the ice after. So, being cold just makes me feel so alive. Although now I have frostbite, and now I don't love skiing unless I'm very warm and have dressed properly. I have to wear my heated socks, and I honestly didn't fall in love with skiing until I became a really good ski racer. And now I love to free ski. I love being in the powder. I love free skiing with my U12 kids. We just go rip the mountains so hard, and I push them off cliffs and through all the terrain, and we have the best time.
Yes, that's an interesting point you make there, because a lot of the people that we've spoken to on the podcast have sort of been, I fell in love with skiing when I was very young, as early as 5 years old, something like that. And then I found racing and loved that just as much or even more. But you said there that you didn't fall in love with skiing until you were a very top level ski racer. So
yeah, it's interesting
obviously,
story. I think
Yeah,
it
go
was
on.
pushed on me a little bit. Like I mean, I was born into it because my
Mm.
dad was a ski shop owner. He loved ski racing, and my daughter doesn't love ski racing. She's a figure skater. So I think I was a bit like that. Like my dad pulled me out of the ski club because I would sit at the back of the line and socialize with the girls instead of skiing. I'd just be like, I was more into like having conversations than training. He put me in a group with all boys and just a free ski group. I was with Toby Dawson, who was a silver medalist in the moguls. He was in my same class in school as well. So I got to ski with these boys that would just send. And then I started going to the camps, and that's where I fell in love with the sport, I guess, because I could have my freedom. And then as I got older, I developed more passionately each day a love for the sport. And now I mean, it's my life. It's given me everything. It's given me my husband. It's given me a sense of travel around the world and just money to survive. I have lived this amazing lifestyle. I can't believe I'm still racing. I question myself every day. I'm like, how are you doing this? What is your motivation? And I don't even, there's no answers. I just keep going, and I can still pull off some good races sometimes. I don't train very much anymore. I just coach my kids. So, all that mileage I did in my childhood leading up to this has really kept me going, and obviously my sponsors have helped me, and all the stars have been aligning for me to continue on this path.
Yeah, it's great to think that you're gonna carry on as long as you want to, aren't you? But have you ever had any thoughts about, should I still be doing this?
I think about that every day, especially when I'm at these FIS races. We were just down in Argentina. I won two FIS races, and I was second in a South American Cup. I started out a bit slow. I was about 3 seconds behind, and then gradually I started picking up the pace. And as soon as the slope got a little steeper, that's usually where I'm better. I was second. I scored my best race in like 4 years, and I'm in for the Olympics in Milano Cortina. I lowered my points. I had a 40. Last year I only got one race in. It was a GS down there, and I scored a 31, which is also pretty good. Or 33. This year I scored a 31. And so now I'm down to 34. But my real goal, I want to qualify for the Olympic downhill. And to do that, you have to be under 80 FIS points. And I just saw, I was supposed to, I had this idea, maybe I'll stay for the downhill in La Parva. And I saw the points and they were really good. And I'm so mad I came back. But it's also important to be a mom, and the kids are just starting school now. So, and my daughter needs me. She's not traveling with us because she's not ski racing anymore. So I'm happy I'm home, but I'm also so mad I missed that opportunity. But I will get another opportunity. And those girls that just scored really well, they're all going to be in copper for the NORAM. So hopefully I can, I'm leaving my fate to that. And then we also have, here in Beaver Creek in my backyard, we have the World Cup in Birds of Prey coming up. So if I get the points, I can possibly race in that, which would be also kind of cool.
Wow.
But I've never run an Olympic downhill, so I think that would be a cool way to kind of end. And my son is also trying to qualify alongside me, so that's another one of our goals, is that we compete together as a mother-son team.
Wow,
That is, it's unbelievable. I mean,
it's incredible.
the fact that you're still producing these results, like you say, you just won 2 FIS giant slaloms and picked up a South American Cup podium. I mean, you can ask about the motivation and how you keep going, but how do you keep going, and how do you continue to produce these results? I mean, no disrespect, but the people that are sort of 20 years younger than you, there's probably some people that are nearly 30 years younger than you against you. They'll be like, well, she's been a World Cup winner. How does she have the passion to continue to go? It's just an unbelievable story that doesn't look like stopping.
I just wonder myself how, like I said, and putting on ski boots can be hard, and living in ski boots can be hard. Your feet are like cramped in tight and you get rubs all over the place. That's probably the hardest part of being a ski racer. It's been a way for me to keep my livelihood. I'm able to coach. My coaching and my racing overlap. So as I fade more out of my racing, I'm sure my coaching will take over more. I love coaching. That for me has been a great outlet for all the things I've learned and all the training and dedication I've put into the sport. I'm able to transfer that to my athletes. And I love that. I love being a wholesome coach that teaches not just about, fast results, but how to have fun, how to love the mountain. And I really want my kids to love the sport early. I think that's the secret ingredient, really. So that's been my passion for one. And obviously my son racing and sometimes he's like, Mom, we're going for your goals. And I'm like, Lasse, if you don't want to do it, it's okay. And then he'll be like, no, Mom, I love skiing. I want to do it with you. And so to sum it up, I think it's just, I love being in the mountains. I love the travel. I love the lifestyle, the adventure, and the fact that we can keep doing it. And I gain a lot of my inspiration from my teammate Hubertus. I don't know if you guys know of him.
Yeah.
He would probably be a good one for you to interview. He's incredible. He's probably, I've never seen a human live like he lives. He's got so much passion. And then I've seen him do two of the most incredible races at 60 years old. He raced the Cortina World Championships on the steep, icy slope that all the guys were struggling with. And he was at the start so nervous. And I remember just being like, no risk, no glory. And he skied down it. He leaned in on the bottom of the pitch, but still he made it most of the way down. And then in World Championships here in Vail in 2015, he qualified for the second run of the slalom, top 60, because a lot of the guys went out. He was the last guy to make it in. And so he ended it was the last event of the whole series of the World Championships here in Vail, and he got to run the last run, and I was there, and it was snowing, and it was just so spectacular. And then his art and his music, he speaks 5 languages, and he's really been a big inspiration for me to keep going and live so passionately.
And he's the Prince of Mexico, right?
He's the prince of a region in Europe.
Oh.
He was born in Mexico. His family was, before, when there was smaller little kingdoms. I get asked this all the time, and I know I should know it. But of somewhere in Europe.
All right. So
his mom, yeah.
Yes, it's another great story.
His grandfather, or his father, or his grandfather, and my husband's grandfather owned VW. Yeah. Dealerships in Mexico together. So, and wow. I've really known him since I raced with my husband's cousin at World Juniors and Topolino and all those races. And Hubertus was always involved because my Federico's cousin was Mexican as well. So I've known Hubertus since I've been very young. And he's always had Kappa. That's been our biggest sponsor with the Mexican team, and he has a great relationship with them. I mean, before the Americans even know what Kappa was, we were wearing these amazing outfits, and he designs everything with them. And we've had the coolest outfits for the last 2 Olympics. They've highlighted our outfits on NBC and all these channels, so that's been really fun too. And he loves to photo shoot and just make us look cool.
So, according to him, if you base off his results recently in his career, you've got another 20 years.
Well, I don't know if I can do it. I was thinking 50, but I told myself once my eyes start having trouble, I think I have really good peripheral vision and really good vision, and that's been really an asset to my career. You don't notice it when your eyes are so adaptable, and I can see at night really well. So I said when I start losing my ability to read small letters and have to grab glasses, that I'm probably gonna start thinking about retiring. And last year I was free skiing with my brothers on the last day of the year, and we were wearing costumes, so I didn't have goggles, and I couldn't see anything coming down. And then I'm starting to like fade out. I'm starting to have to be like, oh, is the light right? And so I think maybe this will be my last Olympics, but you never know. I'm
You
never
never
gonna.
know. No, you never know. We'll be watching out anyway. The thing is, you know, a lot of these athletes who finish when they're 30-year-old, do you often wonder why did they want to finish so soon?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of hard work.
Oh yeah.
And it's constant travel and movement. So I think that lifestyle is not it's not for everyone, perhaps. And a lot of women I know want to have families. Before I had my son, I was determined to have a baby and race on the World Cup. I didn't care how it happened. I was like, I want to have a kid and keep racing. And then with the Mexican team, it's been a lot more convenient as a mother because it's not as serious. Since I'm the only one, I can race whatever I want to race as long as my points qualify for the events. I mean, I don't have, perhaps if I had the support that the US has or these big nations, I could even be on a higher level. I tune all my own skis when I was little, my dad always did my skis, and then I made it straight to the ski team, so I never really learned how to do my skis. I watched everyone tune my skis, but now that I tune my own skis, that's given me another perspective. I used to blame a lot of my bad races on my bad ski technicians. So, that's been great to have to blame myself, and I really get a better feeling because I know exactly how my skis feel. I'm like, okay, I need to dull them down a little bit, or they're not sharp enough. And the wax is a whole nother science that I still haven't cracked. But I'm finding that Swix, the new Swix, has been running pretty fast, so that's good. And I lost my train of thought, but yeah, the tuning's been a cool addition to the whole package. Oh, the Mexican team, yeah, we don't have any support. We don't even have money. I mean, I get a bit of money from the IOC for solidarity, which has been really nice and helpful. But that's why I coach, is to maintain and keep going that way, keep it going financially. But we don't have physios. My husband's my coach, who's amazing. He's switched over from snowboarding, so he's had to learn how to ski all over again.
Wow.
But he's a big racing fan. He loves car racing, auto sports. So he has a really good eye. And in Argentina, he was at the start for all our races, and he was pumping us up. And Jeremy Legier was traveling with us, and he won a few races. And he started calling Federico his coach after the end. So he's a great coach.
I did want to ask about that because you married Federico a few years after, 3 years, I believe, after your retirement, or 2.5, and acquired dual citizenship, the Mexican citizenship, pretty soon after you were married, correct?
Well, actually, we were married in 2008, and I retired in,
right.
I think, 2012. But I didn't get my passport. So I met Hubertus in 2009. We met up at the World Championships sorry for the noise. Hubertus and I met up in 2009 for the World Championships in Valdezere. He was there, and he was like, you got to come race for the Mexican team. I was married at that point. We'd been married a year. And I was like, oh, really? That sounds amazing. How do I do it? And that's when we started the process of trying to get the passport. It took us 5 years, I think, to get it. It was not easy by any task. I had to live in Mexico for 2 years. I had to speak the language. I had to get all these trámites de no penales, like meetings about no penalties in the country. It was really hard to get my citizenship. And I had a lot of people pulling for me from the Mexican Olympic Committee, from my mother-in-law and her connections. And we just missed deadline after deadline. And it didn't seem like it was going to happen. And then a month after Sochi, I had already gotten my permission from FIS to change countries. the U.S. ski team had granted me permission, so it was all set. But I was just waiting on the passport, and Sochi passed me by, so I wasn't able to race in Sochi. I got the passport a month after, so I was able to race. My first race back as a Mexican, big national international race, was the World Championships here in my hometown.
Was that a
Honestly, I
little
think I lost quite a bit of pace during those 2 years, and I've picked back up. I think I'm faster now than I was in 2015
Wow.
comparatively.
That's good.
So that'll be. Are you hoping to go to Saalbach for the World Champs?
Yeah, I want to go there. I'm also trying to make the speed events there. I'm in for sure for the GS, but it'd be nice to be able to race speed. Speed's actually a lot easier than slalom. It's more difficult mentally, but the turns and everything comes a little bit more easy, especially if it's a smooth course. Obviously, if it's bumpy, it can get quite scary.
So you're looking to go to Saalbach for the 2025 World Championships, and you said there that you think you're in better shape for this season, this championship, than you did 10 years ago in 2015 when it was somewhere just over your shoulder, maybe.
Yeah, right up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm more current. The coach I've been working with the last 10 years, his name's Crawford Pierce, and he's really modernized my technique a lot. So that has helped me really. I think, what year was it? I had a really good season, maybe 3 or 4 years after the World Championships, and that's when I started doing downhill. I was coaching my sister-in-law at the time. She wasn't my sister-in-law yet, but she was like, Sarah, you have to do downhill with me. You have to do downhill with me. Her name's Abigail Muir. She raced for the U.S. And I was like, I don't know. I've always been a bit scared of downhill. Let me see if I can get some skis. I had skis the next day. So I was racing in Aspen in the FIS race over there. I won the race, or I was on the podium. I was like, oh, this is so much fun. I love downhill. I went to the World Championships that season. Oh, it was the 2017 in St. Moritz. And I raced the downhill there, and the jumps were so big, but I was fine. I realized I was actually quite good in the air. And there was a turn at the bottom where Goji like crossed her tits, and it was quite bumpy. And that was a bit scary, I remember, but I made it through. I mean, my best results as a Mexican probably are in Super G. I've been about 5 seconds out in the World Championships. And so I think speed has been a great transition. I don't do slalom anymore. I don't get inspired at all by slalom. I don't want to show up at a race and be 15 seconds behind Mikaela or Ron. That really intimidates me. The icy slopes, the ice rink slopes, and having the equipment dialed, and just you have to train a lot of slalom to be good at slalom, and I don't have the time for it. So I've transitioned to speed, and that's been really fun and exciting, and something to keep my motivation going as well.
You've mentioned there that you want to go to Cortina with your son and race in the Mexican team with him. Is that the big ambition for the rest of your career? Is that, if you could accomplish that, would that be pretty much every box ticked?
Yeah, that would be it. And the hard part is my son has a competition for the spot. There's a boy named Alessandro Cantele Fink, who I've trained since he was 9. I've trained the boy.
Wow.
And I've gone to World Juniors with him. I've gone to the Alpachimbe race with him. So I have a deep love and spot in my heart for Alessandro, as well as Lasse. So, I mean, I'm happy if either one goes. Obviously, the bigger story and the bigger connection for me is my son. So we're really trying to work on getting 2 spots, maybe one in speed and one in tech. But right now it looks like Lasse is, on his way. He just did his first FIS races in Argentina. We were at our first races together, and he's cheering for me on the side, like, go, Mom, go. He's like, isn't that weird? My mom's racing in this race, and so am I. And I always think, like, if the coaches are like, you guys let the mom beat you today, after the race. But Lasse scored he scored an 80 in slalom, which was really good for his first races. I was happy. He still has a long way to go. He's young and he skis like a young athlete still, but he's coming along, and his motivation isn't as high as mine. Maybe because he's a bit in the shadows of me, as my brothers were as well.
Yeah.
But we're definitely on track, and I don't know if he'll continue to pursue his career after the Olympics. Sometimes he thinks he'll look for something else, but then other days he's like, no, I want to keep racing. I want to go to college and race in college. So we'll just see how things play out. We don't know now, but we'll know soon.
Yeah,
that would be a fantastic story. Did you, again, taking you back to the decision? Obviously, it was a very long process, but do you feel that I think you said 5 years to get the dual citizenship? Does that show how passionate you were to get back into the sport and to get skiing for Mexico, to reintroduce yourself with skiing?
Yeah, I guess you've probably talked to a lot of athletes who have recently retired, and it's so weird. It's such a weird feeling. You just feel a little bit lost. And skiing's always been my life since I was 11. So to have this outlet to keep going, I know not many people have that, and I was destined to take advantage and take it for mine. And I've been the sole member of the Mexican team for 10 years on the female side. And finally, I'm training another girl. She's living here in Vail. Her name's Ella Dre. And she came to Argentina with us as well. And she's qualified pretty much for the Olympics, if I wasn't there, because every nation gets one spot as long as you're under 120 points. So she's basically there in 2 events already. So that's exciting too, because maybe we can have a bigger team, and maybe if there's another outlet to get if I get the speed spot, maybe she could get the tech spot, and that's inspiring me as well, as just growing the Mexican team and giving ourselves a place in the world of skiing has been really exciting. Vail is a very we're frequently visited by Mexicans. We have influx of Mexicans during Christmas. A lot of our working staff are Mexican, so it feels really good to represent them and bring the Mexican flag to the Winter Olympics. Has been such an honor. At times I feel like an imposter because of my last name, and I don't speak Spanish as well as I would like. It doesn't come out fluently like a complete Mexican. I was talking to my mother. I told my mother-in-law yesterday, I'm like, we have to talk once a week. I want to practice my Spanish. I want to sound like a Mexican. But ultimately, I know it means a lot for that whole nation and for my husband's family that I'm bringing the flag down or wherever the Olympics are and representing such a beautiful nation.
Yeah, and what you're doing is great, really, because it's going to inspire some of the young people in Mexico to do what you've done. So it's a great move, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, and hopefully, it gets a lot more kids involved in loving the sport, because it's such a fantastic sport. If you have the means to do it, it's just being in the mountains early in the morning, and it's connecting to God and nature and all those things that keep us inspired to live and do our best and be good beings, and
Yeah.
You've been to 2 Olympics, and I'm just making sure that's right, 5 World Championships with the Mexican flag. So do you feel that some of those athletes that you're coaching and working closely with now, have they been like, you inspired me to start skiing, or I saw the Mexican flag on the list and it was like, I'm going to give this a go? Have there been any stories like that you've heard?
I get people reaching out all the time, like, how can I make the Mexican team? But a lot of people just, they haven't started early enough, or they don't really realize all the training involved. But the kids that I coach from a young age, like Ella, and those kids are really serious about it, and Alessandro, and they're really putting in the time. and it's a much easier path for Mexicans to make it to these big events because there's only 4 of us, whereas the U.S. there's thousands. So for that, I think it's eye-opening to these kids that they can have the possibility to race in the Olympics. As far as other athletes, inspiring them, I know I inspire a lot of people, especially older athletes, older moms. They're like, okay, we see what we can do. And sometimes I see other moms and I'm inspired by them. I'm like, wow, they're so fit. They're in such great shape. I can keep it going. And hopefully I inspire women to race with children and to race into their, because I still feel I could be very competitive if I had the support and the training and I was really 100% focused on just ski racing, not raising a family and running a business and all these other things and coaching at ski club. So I think there's a lot of potential for older or even older females to be in the sport. I mean, and watching Dave Riding go has been fantastic.
We don't mind any British references you'd like to bring in.
Oh, I got to race with Gigi down there, and she's the cutest little thing, and she's just so spunky. And my son and my husband were both in a complete awe of her, and she was winning races down there too. So that, and then I coach with Martin Bell. So
he's
yeah.
Mm.
So I get to see a lot of these great British athletes and ski racers surrounding me.
Very good. I did also want to mention someone that you might well be competing against in the Saalbach World Championship speed events, Tamara Tippler, who has, like yourself, come back from having had a child and will be returning to the World Cup circuit ahead of the new season. So it's those sort of stories that, I'm sure you're delighted to hear stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't know that she had a child. That's great news. Yeah, it's and watching a lot of the Summer Olympics and a lot of these moms competing and winning gold medals. It's very inspiring.
Did you find it difficult motivating yourself after you'd had your first child to get back skiing, or was it just no?
Well, I had my husband was at that time he was the nanny, and he that's where his coaching kind of career started because he traveled with us for 5 years. He traveled with the team, so he saw all the inner workings of the U.S. ski team from the sidelines, and that I think was for him really where his whole career started off. It was hard. I scored in my first World Cup in Aspen. I scored GS points, and then I didn't have a result for the rest of the winter that year. And then finally, I figured something out. I was with my teammate Haley Duke, and she's like, you need to ski into the turn a little bit more. I must have been just chucking him over there. And I started skiing into the turn. I won the Europa Cup. I was winning U.S. Nationals. I won the NORAMs. I crashed in Nationals and got a second run and got a concussion. I was like, no, I needed these points. The coach always reminds me I said that because I was totally out of it. Instead of having a big winner's check, I had to go pay the hospital for CAT scans. Oh, it's so annoying. But so my speed came back in the spring that year. And then after that, I was, I had gotten top 5 results in World Cup again. I probably never got to my real pinnacle or real peak. Maybe I was a bit distracted. I always I want to go back. I want to try it again and see what I could do. Yeah. But I'm proud of my results, and I think if I had maybe better results, I wouldn't be continuing the way I am. So I'm thankful for how my life path has gone, and that I'm still able to be here and motivated and passionate for it, and still looking for those results. Sometimes I'm doing, okay, you can still win the gold, Sarah. Come on, you can do it. Some miracles are possible. So I have those thoughts as well.
If you don't mind me asking, how old is your daughter?
My daughter's 11. She's in the 6th grade here in Vail. And my son is 16, first year FIS, and he's a junior in high school.
Ah.
He's at the ski academy here in Vail.
Yeah, I was just wondering, sort of like, because obviously you had your son whilst you were still skiing, and your daughter in the break you took, I suppose, just before you
Yeah.
came back with Mexico.
Yep.
I did want to ask about. We've talked about there are some athletes coming up in Mexico, but are they aware of the World Cup? Do they watch the Winter Olympics over there from the time you spent in the country?
Oh, the country. Once the Olympics start happening, they actually push us pretty well over there. They advertise the team, and last time it was 5 of us. So they made little cartoon characters out of us, and a lot of my father-in-law is very involved politically and with a lot of these circles, and they all are always like, oh, you're Nuera, she's doing so good. So I think there's a little bit of transfer, but it's been really hard to get sponsors and things like that, just because it's not well known. I mean, they're much more into their football and their baseball and those kinds of things. They're diving. Mexicans are great divers.
Yeah. So I think they got a medal in the Olympics.
Yes, they did. They got a silver.
Yeah, they beat us, I think. Yeah, I think we got the bronze, and you guys got the silver. Yeah.
And so we have a hockey player. Last time we had a figure skater that was really famous, and he did great for our team because he used the traditional Mexican music, and he got the whole crowd going. So that was really great for our Winter Olympic team. And maybe Racy will compete one day for them in figure skating. Who knows?
Maybe. Are you all right to move to the quickfire questions?
Yeah.
To finish off.
Yeah.
And we will start with Sarah. Your favorite place to ski?
Vail. I like to know where the secret stashes are.
Very good. We'll move on swiftly then to the best moment of your career, in your opinion.
The best moment of my career, carrying the flag in the Beijing Olympics for Mexico. I loved leading the parade there. And my second favorite was retiring from the U.S. team with my son, and that was such an emotional moment.
Very nice. Next one is your best friend in the sport.
My best friend in the sport is Racy Stiegler. She's been my best friend for a really long time. We're very connected. She has 2 children now. I love her to death. She's the love of my life, and we have so much fun. We're like sisters. We fight and we love each other hard.
Very nice. Taking you back even further than we've been so far, who's your idol when you were growing up? It could be a ski racer or even from a different sport.
My idol's always been my dad, just how his work ethic. And then I was inspired by Tamara McKinney. She won world championship medals here in Vail in '89. So she was a big inspiration. And then Brenny Schneider, in that, like I mentioned earlier in the interview, she was every slalom skier's idol when we were growing up.
Your next question is your aspirations for the rest of your ski career. We might have touched on it in the interview already.
Yeah, my 2 biggest aspirations and goals coming up are racing the Olympic downhill in Cortina, most beautiful downhill in the world, and racing with my son at the Olympics. He'll be in Bormio if he goes, but walking into the stadium together, I think that could just be the icing on the cake for me.
I think if that was to happen, do you not think it would get a lot of global traction as well? And maybe
I think it would. Maybe we could. If I was a better self promoter, I probably could have a few sponsors and we could focus a little bit more. But I have everything I need, honestly, and I love being here in Vail working with these kids. So I can't ask for anything else, really.
Very good. I did want to ask finally, if what is the sort of bar that you're setting for Salbach? Are you expecting to get a result? Is there a specific time or position that you would like to achieve?
That's a great question. I haven't thought about it at all. I always try to shoot to make the flip top 30. I mean, that's the goal. A lot of times I'll go into these events and I'll ski really beautiful. I have great technique, but I won't race to the end, and I'll just look really good, but I won't be as fast as I can be. So I want to race fast. That'll be my goal. Just put everything on the line and go as fast as I can.
Yeah. Alan, any more questions?
No.
I used to have to do this in the start when I was with the US team, because my technique was great, okay, but I would be the fastest in training, and then I get to the race, I overthink everything, and then I just ski slow and pretty. So I'd get myself in the start, I'd get away from everyone, and I'd be like, you're a lion in a cage. You just want to come out of your cage. And I'd just do self-talk like that, and that would really work. And then I started doing the roar out of the start, and that helped me a lot, because it was like, I don't care what anyone thinks. This is me. Let's go. And so I'd roar as loud as I could, and I don't really do it anymore because it takes so much energy, and my dad said maybe I shouldn't do it, and I took his advice, and it's been working fine. But I needed that mental, like,
Yeah.
I didn't get mad or get fired up.
Alan.
Yeah.
What a great conversation.
Excellent.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Sarah.
Thanks so much for including me. I appreciate it.
Excellent. So interesting and so inspirational. Excellent.
I have to say I really love what you guys are doing, and I don't know where your guys' motivation and inspiration comes from, but it's been a real treat to listen to your interviews.
Well, mine comes from him.
Where does yours come from?
Oh, I don't know. Wanting to give people, insight into fantastic stories. It's just fascinating having spoken to you for 50 odd minutes, just getting into your head almost, and like the mindset and the way you go about it, and with someone like you, how you've continued to motivate yourself. I think it's just, we need people to hear this. Even if you don't like ski racing, why are you not listening to this? Because it's great to take into anything you do in life, I suppose.
Are you a ski racer yourself?
No.
No?
We're just
we ski. We ski, but we love ski racing. But we
great.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's we just love
luckily
it.
I write in my journal. I write 3 pages a day. And yesterday I was like, okay, I got to write about what I need to talk about. So that helped me focus my thoughts a bit.
Very good.
So sometimes I'll come in like so free form, and then I get lost. And thanks for all the heads up and leeway and feedback.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that something that I would now, after having spoken to you, I'd like to be in Italy when you and your son come into the stadium. I think.
Oh yes.
I mean, I really want to go to the Olympics, of course.
Oh wow! So now you have a goal.
There we go.
Let's both be there. All 4 of us.
Yeah. We'll try our very best.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Sarah.
Thank you so much. Really enjoyed that. Excellent.
Good luck with the rest of the season. Good luck with Salbach and getting your son into it, and as many people in Mexico as possible as well.
Thank you so much, and maybe look for an interview from Hubertus. He'd be a great one.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers. Sending love. Okay.